Hi everyone. So today's essential question is, what are the structures and functions of the major organ systems of the body? And by the end of this lecture, you should be able to answer this question more or less using these systems shown here. Let's start with the nervous system. So the nervous system is made of the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves, and the sensory receptors. So that would be the anatomy of the nervous system, which you can see here. Here's the gross anatomy: brain, spinal cord, and then all of the nerves that go out to the face, the arms, the torso, the legs, and so on. The nervous system enables you to have a speedy control system that responds to stimuli like light, sound, temperature changes, pain, pressure, in addition to internal stimuli as well. So things like, the blood pressure or the concentration of sugar in your blood or things like that. You have the central nervous system, which are the brain and the spinal cord, and they assess information and respond by activating what we call effectors, which are muscles and glands. And we'll talk more about the nervous system when we get to that unit. Next is the endocrine system, which is a bunch of glands that slowly control the body, more slowly than the nervous system, but it's a regulated control of the body by producing and releasing hormones for growth, metabolism, and reproduction. So in terms of the gross anatomy, here are the major endocrine glands. You have the pineal gland, which is found deep within the brain. You have the pituitary gland, which kind of hangs down from a part of the brain. You have the thyroid gland, the thymus gland, the adrenal glands on the tops of your kidneys, the pancreas. If you're male, you also have testes, and if you're female, you have ovaries. Next, you have the muscular system. And so these are all of the muscles of the body that can contract or shorten, that's what contract means, to move the skeleton. Like here you guys can see the skeletal muscles are all pictured, so when they contract, they move the bones of your body. You also have muscles in your blood vessels and in your heart that enable you to move blood throughout the body. And then you have more muscles in your esophagus and your stomach and your intestines that move food through the digestive system. In addition to moving stuff around, the muscular system also helps you to maintain your posture and produce heat. Next is your skeletal system, which are all of the bones and cartilages and ligaments and joints. And so this would be the gross anatomy. Here you can see the skull. Here you can see all of the major bones. You can also see some cartilage right here that's connecting your rib cage to your sternum. And then there would be more cartilage at each of the joints. And so what are the functions of the skeletal system? Well, they protect and support the body organs. They allow muscles to attach to them so that they can enable movement. And then inside your some of your bones, or most of your bones, you have specialized blood cells, or specialized stem cells, excuse me, that can form blood in your bone marrow. And then they also store minerals like calcium and then release them when you need it. Next is your integumentary system, which is essentially the external covering of the body, so your skin, plus the hair and nails that grow from it. What do? They protect all the tissues that are underneath the skin from injury or infection. They also synthesize vitamin D, especially in the presence of sunlight. So the first 10 minutes that you're out in the sun, you're making vitamin D, which is good for you. It also excretes salts and urea, which is toxic waste, when you sweat or perspire. The skin, by sweating, also can help you regulate your body temperature, sweating when you need to cool down, shivering when you need to warm up. And then there are also pain, temperature, and pressure receptors in the skin so that you can learn about your environment. Next is the cardiovascular system, which is the heart, shown here, plus all of the blood vessels. And you'll notice that some are shown in blue and some are shown in red to show that they have physiological differences, and we'll talk about that when we get to the cardiovascular system later this year. But these things all work together to transport materials in the blood. What are those materials? It's nutrients, it's hormones from your endocrine system, it's oxygen from your lungs, and carbon dioxide from your cells that need to be returned to your lungs, as well as waste that need to be taken to your kidneys to be filtered out and made into urine. Next are your lymphatic and immune systems, which normally are counted as separate things, but I'm combining them together for the purposes of this introduction. And so that would be composed of a bunch of things that include the lymphatic blood vessels, the lymph nodes, the spleen, the tonsils, and then all of the white blood cells that patrol the blood vessels in your body. And so what do these do? They return fluids leaked from the blood back to the blood vessels. They help clean blood and store cells involved in immunity, and then those immunity cells fight infections and protect your body from invaders. I know that's a horrifying picture. So that's an example of what can happen if you have a homeostatic imbalance with the lymphatic system. In this case, this is a disease called elephantiasis, and it results from oftentimes parasitic infections that get into your lymph nodes and just cause this kind of massive swelling that happens in places, especially in your legs. Okay, that's enough of that. Next is your respiratory system, which is composed of your lungs, your nasal passages, your windpipe, which is also known as your trachea, and then all of the little parts that are inside your lungs, the bronchi. So the respiratory system brings in oxygen, which then goes into your blood, and it takes carbon dioxide out of your blood and you exhale it to your environment. Next is the digestive system, which is composed of, in terms of the gross anatomy, you have the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the intestines, and then some other organs that are not pictured here, like the liver and the pancreas. And the digestive system breaks down food and delivers the nutrients from the food to your blood so that your blood can take it to the rest of your body. And then the remainder of that food is excreted. That is called the excretory system, which is primarily the kidneys and the bladder. So for that reason, it can also be called the urinary system. But the excretory system also oftentimes can include, depending on how people classify it, it can include parts of the digestive system, like the colon, also known as the large intestine, and it can include parts of the respiratory system, or just the respiratory system, because your lungs are going to excrete carbon dioxide. But if you want to just limit it to the production and excretion of urine, then this system would include the kidneys, the bladder, and the ureters, which are these pipes that lead from the kidneys to the bladder, as well as the urethra, which is the pipe that leads from your bladder to the outside. And so this system rids your body of nitrogen-containing waste products that can poison your blood if it builds up in high concentrations. And then the system helps to maintain the right balance of water and salts in your blood and tissues as well. Next, you have the reproductive system, which in males is primarily the testes, the penis, and then the accessory glands that allow for semen to be produced and for sperm to mature within that. For females, it's the ovaries and the uterus and the vagina and the fallopian tubes and stuff like that. And its purpose is to produce and, protect offspring. So here are some of those major organs that we just ran through, and we're going to be learning more about them in depth as we go through each system of the body throughout the year. Because of time, we're not going to be able to go through every single system here, and so I've put in red the ones that we're doing at the school that I'm at, Pacifica High School. So the nervous system, the muscular system, the skeletal system, the cardiovascular system, and the digestive system. And if we have time, we'll get to some of these other ones. But here are your key takeaways. The nervous and endocrine systems control and regulate the body's response to stimuli, while the muscular, reproductive, and other body systems respond to signals from the nervous and endocrine systems. You'll notice that I put a star on reproductive because the reproductive system is also essentially the endocrine system, since these organs here, your testes and your ovaries, they do produce hormones, and that means that they are part of this hormone producing endocrine system, but they also respond to other hormones that are produced by the endocrine system. Your next key takeaway is that the skeletal and integumentary systems provide structural support and protect the body. The cardiovascular, respiratory, digestive, and excretory systems provide nutrients and remove wastes from your cells and tissues throughout your body. And the lymphatic and immune systems defend the body from infection. What I'd like you to do is go back to the essential question. Just pause it here before you exit this lecture and see if you can answer this question using these terms.